Okay, if you've watched my videos before, you probably know by now that not all financial advisors in South Africa are made equal. And if it's the first time you're watching a video from me, you're going to learn that all South African advisors in South Africa are not made equal. In this video, I'm going to give you a little insight into financial advisors in South Africa and how you should be picking a financial advisor to meet your needs. Hi, I'm Yolanda and welcome to Financially Fabulous Females. I'm a wealth advisor. I also run a wealth management firm, and it is my goal on this platform to give you easy, actionable tips, content and strategies that you can use to manage your money well and to build generational wealth. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. So today I'm going to give you some ideas about what goes on with financial advisors, how we work, how we get compensated, and how you should be selecting a financial advisor to meet you at your needs. So financial advisors in South Africa are not the same. We're totally different. We get compensated differently. And I want to show you how this can impact the advice you get as a client. So firstly, advisors can either be tied or independent. Tied means that an advisor works for a specific company. He only sells products from that company. Independent means that the advisor is completely independent, works with a variety of companies, and has no loyalties to any company. His loyalty is to his client and will advise on products based on his or her client's need. So that's the first difference. Tied versus independent. So the second difference is on how advisors are compensated. And there's two ways that can happen, either via commissions or an advice fee. And the third way, and if you have an advisor or you've sat with financial advisors in the past, you know that advisors can either be very salesy or they can be very advice oriented. And it's only when you sit with an advisor you would know that. And if you have an advisor and every time you sit with him you're pushed to buy a product, most likely you have the salesy type. But with financial advisors, we're not really financial salespeople. So a lot of advisors have not distinguished the difference yet and are completely sales-based. And I guess it's the nature of the industry. Compensation mainly comes from sales revenue. And that's how most advisors get compensated. But things are changing, and we'll talk a little bit about this later on in this video. So what's the role of a financial advisor? Why do you go to a financial advisor? I mean, you have tons of companies in South Africa. You can literally call in and get a product over the phone. But a financial advisor's role is really different. I was watching a video once of an overseas advisor, and he was explaining to the crowd that a financial advisor grows with you. As you move through the life stages, your advisor grows with you and changes the advice and the products to suit you in your life stage. And financial advice and money, it's kind of like building a house. And at each life stage, you build different rooms in this house. And that's how an advisor moves with you and gives you a comprehensive and holistic approach to financial advice. It's not just investments, it's not just insurance policies, but it's a complete global view of your financial strategy. So at Solomon Wealth, we basically look at 5 things when you sit with us. And that is our role. That's the role that we perform as your financial advisor. So the first thing we look at is C. C is for coverage. We want to make sure that your life is covered. In terms of your death, your family can still maintain the same quality of life as if you were there. Then is income protection. If anything bodily wise happens to you and the doctor says you have to take a break for a couple of months, you can't go to work, you're sick, you're ill, you're disabled, you need to have your income come into your home because the bills don't stop when you are sick. And maybe you exhaust your sick leave at work or something like that. But we want to make sure that your income is protected in terms of bodily harm. Then we want to look at the more serious ailments that can happen in terms of dreaded disease and disability. So with dreaded disease, we're looking at things like cancer, heart attack, stroke. And I know young people that are watching me, not really thinking about this. Cancer can happen to anybody. And it's scary when it does. And it's a very, very costly process. Medical aid does not cover everything. So we want to make sure we cover it in that sense. And disability, it might not. But if it might, you want to make sure that you are covered. If you are disabled and you can't continue in your profession, you need an income. The bills don't stop when you're sick or disabled. All right, so the next thing we look at is the S. in terms of savings. You got to have some income in place, an emergency fund. If you're saving for the short term in terms of marriage, or you're saving to put down a deposit for a car or a house, you also can have long-term savings in the form of retirement. Okay, so that's what we look at our brokerage in terms of coverage and savings. And lastly, we look at the I, which stands for investments. And a lot of the times when you guys call and you email, you want to jump straight to this. It's because it's the most exciting. Nobody really likes this part and they don't like the S. Everybody wants to jump to this, but the reality is this and this. This is your foundation. If you can't have this in place, you should not be getting into the investment space. Because anything can happen here. Your investments will be worth nothing because you can't pay it or you'll be dead. And then your family is left with the bills. The other things that we also consider is taxes, how all of these affect you in terms of taxes, your retirement, payouts in terms of death, dreaded disease and disability, and also your estate planning. How are you passing on your wealth to the next generation in the most efficient way to ensure preservation and your assets are not squandered? Right, so that's what we basically cover at Solomon Wealth. So here's the thing, the financial services industry in South Africa is a growing, bustling industry. It's one of the few areas that's growing in the country. However, there's a lot of dodgy advisors out there, very sales-based, just want to get your signature in order to collect that commission, and that's not right, and you need to be protected. So the powers that be in the country have sort of taken various actions to ensure that the industry is more professional. So there's a lot of regulation that advisors have to meet in terms of qualifications, experience, and even the small advisors, the financial services providers, a lot of hoops that they have to jump to ensure that they maintain a certain standard of service. And one of the major things that have come into place is a system called RDR, where the compensation system of advisors have been changed in order to make the industry a little bit more ethical, where advisors are not persistently doing the wrong thing, like signing up a client today, few months down the line, canceling the product and signing them up to a new product for the sake of commissions, but it's not really the best advice for the client. A lot of dodgy advisors out there selling the client a wrong kind of product that doesn't meet their overall strategy. But the reality is a financial advisor needs to give you strategy. Whatever your goals are, if you want to be a millionaire in 4 years, they have to come up with a strategy using their knowledge of taxes, products, investments, what's available in the South African context. Give that advice to you. You can either accept it or reject it. Many times from a savvy financial advisor, people are accepting their advice. And we see with RDR, this major shift that's coming in terms of compensation. There's going to be a lot of good and bad that's going to come out of it. So the first major change that has already been implemented is in terms of investments, where advisors are no longer compensated with a large investment fee. It's just a fraction that can be negotiated with the client, anywhere from 0.5 to 1.5%. Okay, so an advisor can take ongoing commission, he can take initial upfront commission. You've got to negotiate that with your financial advisor. Then we have the risk portion. So instead of upfront commissions, the industry wants advisors to receive a monthly fee instead. So when that does happen, it's going to be really tough for advisors to practice in the space, especially for new advisors to come in. Whereas an older advisor might have a more established practice, it's going to be more difficult for younger advisors to come into the industry and make a sustainable living. And for small brokerages to be able to run their businesses in terms of the operating cost, jump through all the hoops that is required by legislation and pay salaries, pay your support staff and barely come out with anything in the end, it's going to be different. So what the industry is proposing is that advisors start charging a fee. But let me ask you, are you willing to pay a fee for financial advice? Do you understand the value of good advice and bad advice? Bad advice can ruin you. It can literally ruin you and leave you in a very bad space. Are you willing to pay the fee for good advice to a good advisor? So when this happens, when this RDR is completely been implemented, we'll find that it will go the route of the other countries like the UK and Australia, where a lot of advisors have left the industry because the model is just not sustainable. Imagine getting paid 100 Rand a month for a policy. How do you pay your bond, your medical aid, send your kids to school? It's just not sustainable. A lot of people will leave if they do not have the proper structures in place. You'll also find an advice gap because advisors who are not willing to take 100 Rand a month, and there's a lot of us out there, we're going to start charging a fee. You're going to have to book an appointment, just like how you go to the doctor, pay the doctor's fee and get advice and recommendations. Advisors are going to start doing that. And are you ready for that? Are you ready to pay an upfront fee of 2,000-3,000 Rand for a financial plan? And for those clients that are willing to do it, that see the value of having good advice, of seeing the value of a professional that's in the industry, that is going over and above to make sure that they're abreast with the current trends, studying the market, studying the industry more than what is required in order to better service a client. So those that are willing to pay for that kind of service will get good, proper advice. And from the research, it tells us that people that are willing to pay have really good relationships with their advisors because they value that advice. And advisors are going all out to make sure that their clients are happy because it's a very, very difficult environment. This will lead to an advisor gap. People that are not willing to pay for top advice will not get real quality advice. You will have to go through a call center, go directly to a product provider. All of this knowledge is available online. You can go and get it. But do you have the time? Do you have the commitment to keep up with everything? Because industry changes very fast and very frequently. A lot of information is not readily available to clients up front. A lot of products, a lot of good deals come via advisors. And if you're a client, you know that. I call you up and I tell you what's happening, what's new, what's fresh, and how it can benefit you. So if you don't have an advisor or your advisor is a bit on the lackadaisical level, you might be not getting those calls from your advisor. As reality is, we have a major financial literacy gap in the country. South Africans are underinsured by over R1 trillion. And this is when financial advice is readily available. All you're going to do is call up somebody and sit with them. What's going to happen when RDR comes into place, where only a select few are able to afford quality advice? So at Solomon Wealth, it is our goal. I mean, when I started this video, I told you it's my goal to help you, give you the knowledge you need to manage your money well and to build generational wealth. And a lot of that comes from financial literacy. And we are committed to having clients that are financially savvy. And we do that in a number of ways. So one is like videos like this that is put out for everybody, not just my clients. So everybody gets to see these videos. They have ideas of what's out there, what's not out there, questions that they need to be asking their advisors as well. But my clients get an exclusive membership deal where we do videos like this every single month. Tons of training videos available for them to go and know about the various aspects that we spoke about, like the coverage, the investments, the savings, taxes, estate planning. All those videos are available. Everything is updated when things change because things change regularly in financial services in South Africa. So clients get all of those updates. Free Excel tools they can download and use, free ebooks, complimentary access to all of the events that we have. A lot of live online training is happening now because of lockdown, but we recently hosted an online conference, the Financial Success Summit, with world-class speakers from overseas. My clients get complimentary access to everything I do online. My clients also get access to our investment platform that pulls in from all of the investment houses that we work with. They can log on and access all of their real-time data to know how their investments are performing. Those are the kind of things that we're doing to make sure that our clients are empowered and are financially literate. So when we sit and chat ever so regularly about their finances, when I say something like diversification and risk, they know what I'm talking about. So if you want to be part of Solomon Wealth, be part of a financially literate group of people, financially savvy, and have access to everything that we provide our clients at our brokerage, click the link down below, the Get Started link, and we could be chatting face to face, and you can get access to all of these nice things to ensure that you are up to date with your money, growing your money, and building wealth for the long term.